This message comes from Greenlight. Ready to start talking to your kids about financial literacy? Meet Greenlight, the debit card and money app that teaches kids and teens how to earn, save, spend wisely, and invest with your guardrails in place. With Greenlight, you can send money to kids quickly, set up chores, automate allowance, and keep an eye on your kids' spending with real-time notifications. Join millions of parents and kids building healthy financial habits together on Greenlight. Get started risk-free at greenlight.com/Spotify.
This episode is brought to you by Pluto TV. Pluto TV has all the shows and movies you love streaming for free. That means laughter is free with gut-busting comedies like The Neighborhood, Key and Peele, and Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Mystery is free with countless cases to crack from Criminal Minds, Tracker, and Matlock. And thrills are free with heart-pumping hits like The Walking Dead and Defiance. Feel the free. Pluto TV. Stream now, pay never.
What did she go to jail for?
She had violated her probation.
By doing what?
A dirty urine test.
Okay, what was she on probation for?
Burglary.
That'll do it.
This is the plaintiff, Ashley Robinson. She says she's known the defendant for about 5 years. She loaned him money, and now that he's broken up with her fiance's sister, he refuses to pay her back. He has some nerve disrespecting her like this, and she's here in the name of justice suing him for every penny of the $600 she loaned him. This is the defendant, Stephen. He says the plaintiff is only suing him because he split up with her fiance's sister. And now she's trying to get back at him. He never borrowed any $600 from the plaintiff. She stole 2 of his car keys, which he had to spend $600 on for new ones, and he owes nothing. He's accused of failing to repay a loan.
All parties, please hit your right hands.
What you're about to witness is real. The litigants are not actors. They are involved in legitimate disputes, and they have agreed to have those disputes settled here in our forum, the People's Court.
People's Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Marilyn Leon is now presiding. Litigants have been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome, ma'am.
Okay, Ms. Robertson?
Yes.
All right, how is it that you know the defendant? Tell me what the relationship was or used to be.
He was with my fiance's sister for a while.
Okay, so you were each dating sisters?
Yes.
Erica and Lydia are the sisters?
Yes.
Okay. All right, now, at some point during that time, were you guys friendly?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so at some point during that time, it comes to your attention that they need money for rent, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Who brings it to your attention? Who says something to you?
My girlfriend does first. She comes to me because we, share all of our money decisions together.
And what does she say?
She said that Lydia and Steven needed some help this month, and they wanted to borrow the money to cover their rent.
All right, and when you say my girlfriend came to me first, who came to you second?
Oh, no, there was no second. It was just...
Okay, I got it. All right. So when your girlfriend... Okay, I got it. I just want to make sure there wasn't repeated request. All right, so...
Yeah.
So your girlfriend asks you, can we loan the money, and what do you say to her?
Asked her if it was a loan, and I said okay, and I gave her the cash because I had the cash on me.
Okay, how did the cash get from point A to point B? Was it in a check? Was it in a, how did it go?
We brought it over to their house.
Okay, who's we? You and your girlfriend, Erica?
Yes.
All right, you brought it over to their house, and who was at their house?
Lydia.
Okay, and you handed it to Lydia?
Yes.
All right, and then what happens? Just nobody ever pays you back?
Right, correct. I had, in January, I believe it was, I had texted Stephen and asked him about getting the money back because Lydia had already went to jail. And he sent me a message back and says she had violated her probation.
By doing what?
A dirty urine test.
Okay, what was she on probation for?
Burglary.
That'll do it. So when did Lydia get back into custody?
In October 2nd.
Okay, and so you approach him many months. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, we had also loaned them money for Lydia's legal fees, but we put that cost on to Lydia at the same time.
Right.
And we put his cost on him.
Okay, well, and that's the rub, right? Are these his costs? So let me ask you, you don't want to pay back this $600, but this $600 went to help pay the roof over your head. So, what is your defense to the lawsuit?
Well, I want to start off by me and Lydia had spoke about borrowing the money, correct? But she had mentioned that she wasn't sure if she was going to do it yet because she wasn't sure what Erica was going to say. And that was about the end of the conversation there. And then I forget exactly when it came, because I wasn't home, that the money was even borrowed.
Okay, so according to you then, Stephen, you weren't part of the borrowing?
Correct.
That this is Lydia's deal and Lydia should have to pay it back?
Correct.
All right, now, was there ever a text where he agreed to pay it back?
Yes, ma'am.
And is that this one that says, no one said a trying about the lawyer, I will pay back what we borrowed, I'm not flushed? Is that the text you're talking about? All right, so at some point, did you offer to pay the rent money back?
Yeah, I told her what she wanted to hear. I'm a single father of 2 children, and I'm doing everything that I can. And there's no feasible way to come up with an extra $600 to money that I didn't even know was borrowed.
How did you and Lydia, or why did you and Lydia break up?
Because of the situation that she was in.
How did the plaintiff and her girlfriend take that? Do you feel like there's some animosity between you now?
Yes.
Why?
Well, on February 6th, my daughter came home from school, and she called me immediately and told me that the back door was still open, meaning cracked open, not unlocked. That's how we exit through the rear door. And I told her that was strange, and I thought maybe that she left it open, but she left through the front door, she said. And
how old's your daughter?
Home, 13. And she came to the back door to come in and noticed that the door was open. And I told her to go upstairs and check and make sure that there are things still in the house to make sure nothing was missing.
Let me ask you a question. Do you feel that there's bad blood between Erica and Ms. Robertson and you based on you breaking up with Lydia?
I believe she holds it against me a little bit. I mean, she went after.
Did you do the breaking up?
It was pretty mutual.
Okay. And is Lydia still in custody now?
Yes.
All right. Now, and what makes you feel that there's bad blood? At some point, your 13-year-old calls you and tells you the back door is open, and what do you discover?
She came in the house, and she was looking around, and she was noticing pictures missing off the wall, and I told her to go to my bedroom.
Your daughter?
Yes,
your daughter.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. And I immediately told her, because the only one who has a spare key, other than my mom, is Erica. So I asked her to go upstairs, and she said that the bedroom had been gone through. She wasn't sure what was taken, but things were definitely moved around from her knowledge. And when I got home that evening, I started noticing things that were missing, and I wasn't too happy with it.
What was missing?
Two sets of car keys, a Samsung smartwatch.
Was the car? Hold on one second. Was the car missing?
No, it wasn't. But until I could get it rekeyed, I was worried that it wasn't going to be there the next morning because I'd had no keys.
Right. Okay. Go on.
And,
a Samsung smartwatch.
Correct. And
what else?
The watch, the keys, and the key fob to the Nissan Altima that I had to replace that as well.
Anything else?
Other than the pictures, I mean, it was just odds and ends. I mean, there was something.
Pictures. Tell me about the pictures that were missing.
It was pictures of my 2 kids and I and Lydia in our bedroom. Was it always? How many pictures were missing? Maybe 5 or 6. And was Lydia in all of them? Cluster. I do not recall, but definitely probably a majority of them. All right, and what makes you think that Ms. Robertson has anything to do with that? Because Erica, her girlfriend, is the only one with the other spare key? Is that what you're saying? Correct, yeah, they wherever did you guys, Ms. Robertson, did you or Erica go into his living space?
Lydia had asked Erica to go retrieve some of her things, and Erica has a spare key, and they had a spare key to our house too. It was just something we always did. Okay, so you guys went over there without after the breakup? We did not touch any keys. We still had no car keys. Have no. Hold on one second. I'm asking you, did you take that spare key after Stephen and Lydia broke up
and go over to Stephen's apartment in order to get Lydia's stuff. Is that what happened?
I didn't. My fiance did.
Okay, so when Erica did that, did she ever run by Stephen, hey, I'm gonna come by at a certain time and pick up Lydia's stuff, or did she just show up and take what?
She had told him that she would be by there at some time.
Okay, did she tell him it was gonna be this time?
No, she just said she was gonna go by and get some of Lydia's stuff.
Okay, and do you have any reason to believe that Erica's mad at you and might have taken these things to cost you money? I mean, what makes you think she took them?
Well, she told me that if I made things right with her sister, that I basically would get my stuff back.
Well, I was missing that part. So she basically held your stuff hostage to make, she actually said that to you?
She said it in a text, yes, ma'am.
The police actually called us to investigate this, and that is not true at all. She never said that he was holding his stuff for a hostage.
You have it in a text? Hold on. I want to see the text.
She said she would have
Wait, I want to see this. His house key back. Did she say anything about the car keys or just the house key?
Basically the stuff in general that she removed.
No. Let's look at the text. We're going to look at the text and we're going to see what the text says. So what date is that text so that I can find it?
I'm sorry, Your Honor, I don't have the date to that.
Stephen, tell me what date text you want me to look at. Show me the text, Stephen, because you didn't submit that into evidence. So you submitted nothing into evidence. So if you have the text, get it on your phone and put it up to the camera, please.
Okay. All right.
Go ahead, Stephen, go ahead. You found it?
Yes. Oh, the one where I was asking about my keys. It says, I need my keys this morning or action will be taken by law enforcement. And then she replied, Stephen, stop harassing me or I will file a formal complaint. I told you, you can have your keys back. All I want is Lydia's stuff back. I will go through your mom or the local PD to get it. Now leave me alone or I will block you.
Your Honor, that
the word key is plural? Yeah, but
it said house keys.
It says keys.
I have house keys, I assure you.
Raise it higher.
It says house keys, Your Honor. Even his said house keys. I just
Let me see. Let me see.
Trying.
Okay, put it down. It's house keys. The text says house keys, right? And you omitted the word house when you were talking? Stephen?
Yes, ma'am.
Why'd you do that? Why didn't you read the word house?
I apologize. I mean, it was a bunch of keys. I mean, whatever was on the key ring itself with the house keys and the car keys.
Here's the problem that we have, Ms. Robertson, as much as I don't like what just happened there. What needs to happen when you loan someone money and you want them on the hook is that you take the nearest crayon and the nearest roll of toilet paper and you write out IOUX and the time when it's going to be paid and everything else. I went very specifically through the facts of the case because facts matter, especially in this case, where you tell me that Lydia went to Erica, Erica went to you, and then you two give the money to Lydia. I know that Stephen is a beneficiary of that. I know that's the rent where the place where they were living. And I know that at some point he tells you what you want to hear and tells you, oh, yeah, I'll pay you, I just don't have the money. But when someone says they'll pay you, that doesn't automatically mean that they have to pay you. They have to have had an obligation at the beginning, otherwise it's just an empty promise. Because a contract is when two sides give up something. There has to be an offer and an acceptance and a meeting of those minds. And the offer is Lydia saying, I'll pay you back if you loan me the money, Erica. And the acceptance is Erica saying, yes, I'll loan you the money and I'll pay you back. That's what happened. And then when the two of you go over to give the money to Lydia, you're part of it too. And there's where the contract is. Just because it ends up paying for the roof over his head and his kids' heads, maybe there's a moral obligation for him to pay back Lydia's debts, but there is no legal obligation. And the fact that he promises to take over someone else's legal obligation and then changes his mind is just an unenforceable promise. That is not where the contract lies. The contract lies in the beginning when the money is asked for and the money is borrowed. So based on that, I have to find in Stephen's favor and rule in favor of the defendant. Good luck, folks.
So it didn't work out for the plaintiff in this case. She loses. Let's talk to her. Ms. Robertson, you just heard the judge's decision. What do you think?
I think that I just didn't have adequate proof that Stephen knew what was going on, that this was a loan. That's my fault.
So is that over now? The case is finally over. You're not going to get the money back. What are you going to do?
Move on. What can you do?
Okay, move on with your life. All right, let's talk to Stephen for a moment. You know, Stephen, it's interesting. When you said the door to the house was open and your daughter called you, you know what I was thinking? If that had been me, instead of telling her to go search the house, I'd have told her to go next door and call the cops. There may be somebody in there. Never crossed your mind, did it?
No, it didn't, and I wasn't thinking thoroughly. I just never thought anybody would break into the house. I never thought, any trouble could be here. So, I mean, well, whatever happened.
Sign of the times we live in. Listen, you won the lawsuit. You said you didn't owe her money, and the judge agreed with you. So congratulations. Okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome. And that'll wrap it up for this case. Let's have another version now of our after the verdict conversations between Judge Milian and Judge John, her husband.
Marilyn, sometimes two people can enter into a contract and then somebody else is what we call a third-party beneficiary under the contract. But normally, third-party beneficiaries don't get obligations under that contract. Is that fair to say?
Right. I mean, the people who are obligated are the people who made the deal. And I think it's pretty clear that it was Lydia borrowing the money. And she's, she lost the lawsuit and she can't get it against Stephen. She can obviously try to collect against Lydia, who's the one who borrowed the money. But unless he obligates himself from the beginning, the fact that it helped him out, that doesn't mean that he's obligated.
Or the fact that later on he said, oh, yeah, I'll pay you back that. I'll pay that money.
See, that's an empty promise. That happens a lot, and that's not a new contract. A lot of people feel like that. Oh, well, but he said he'd pay it.
Now he's on the hook.
But that doesn't rise to the level of a contract. It's just an empty, unenforceable promise unless the other side can show that they relied on that promise. Then that would be the thing that each side gives up. So this is a situation where basically it was just, hey, are you going to pay this? And he goes, yeah, I'll pay you when I can. But that was it. There was no legal detrimental reliance upon it where because he said that I went out and I loaned more money or I did something else. Just the fact that you want him to pay because he said he would pay doesn't make a new contract.
Right, and maybe you should have paid.
Yeah, he should have paid. He certainly had him. That's why I threw in the moral obligation. But if he can't, he can't. What can I say?
Moral obligation's not enforceable.
Right.
There you have it.
Ashlyn, it's actually a little bit complicated. If it is a contract case, when an obligation becomes due, that is typically when the statute of limitations begins to run. There are other situations, for example, a loan where there's no due date. When a demand is made, that's when the statute starts to run. And that will do it for this case. Litigants for the next case on the way into the courtroom right now.
Acura's all-new ADX, a compact SUV that isn't just built for one thing, it's precision-crafted for everything. To escape the grind with available all-wheel drive. To go with your flow with available Google built-in.
Hey Google, turn it up.
Okay, turning up the volume. And crafted to be heard with an available Bang & Olufsen premium sound system. The all-new Acura ADX, crafted to match your energy. Acura, precision-crafted performance.
Take your vibes and go.
Google is a trademark of Google LLC.
Subtle results, still you, but with fewer lines. Botox Cosmetic, out of botulinum toxin A, is a prescription medicine used to temporarily make moderate to severe frown lines, crow's feet, and forehead lines look better in adults.
Effects of Botox Cosmetic may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away as difficulty swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness may be a sign of a life-threatening condition. Patients with these conditions before injection are at highest risk. Don't receive Botox Cosmetic if you have a skin infection. Side effects may include allergic reactions, injection site pain, headache, eyebrow and eyelid drooping, and eyelid swelling. Allergic reactions can include rash, welts, asthma symptoms, and dizziness. Tell your doctor about medical history, muscle or nerve conditions including ALS or Lou Gehrig's disease, myasthenia gravis, or Lambert-Eaton syndrome, and medications, including botulinum toxins, as these may increase the risk of serious side effects. For full safety information, visit BotoxCosmetic.com or call 877-351-0300.
See for yourself at BotoxCosmetic.com.
This is the plaintiff, Brian Rottenberg. He says he gave the defendant very valuable collectible cards used in a game called Magic. These cards are very valuable, like Pokemon cards, and the defendant agreed to sell them for him. He gave him 100 cards, and 2 months later, the defendant tells him the cards were stolen from his house. Huh? He doesn't believe him. He thinks the guy sold them and is pocketing the money, and he's now suing him today for the $3,395 he's owed. This is the defendant, Joshua Fielman. He says he's known for selling collectible cards in the community. The plaintiff approached him about selling his Magic the Gathering cards, some of which fetched $350,000. Unfortunately, he was carrying the cards in a bag. He put the bag down to smoke a cigarette, and poof, the bag was gone. Someone stole it. He doesn't feel he owes the plaintiff all this money because he didn't steal the cards, someone else did. He's accused of losing it.
All parties, please raise your right hand.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case on the docket, the plaintiff gave the defendant some very rare Magic playing cards to sell and says the guy didn't give him the cards back and didn't give him any money. Now, the defendant's saying, well, the cards got stolen, so I don't owe you anything. It's the case of you don't know jack about Magic playing cards.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome, ma'am.
Mr. Rottenberg, you moved from New York to Miami and through a mutual friend met the defendant in Tampa, correct?
Yeah.
All right, and you all had a common interest, which are these Magic cards. Explain to me what Magic cards are.
Magic cards are kind of like Pokemon cards in the sense that they're a trading card game that has been around since about 25 years. Some of the cards are rare and have a lot of value to them because they are better than other cards and there's rarity to them. And it's a strategy game where having the better cards makes you gives you an advantage to win. And some of these tournaments that they have are high stakes, so there's an advantage to having the better cards.
Okay. And so do you play the game as well or just collect the cards?
Yes, I play the game as well. I've been playing the game for 15 years.
All right. When you would go to Tampa, would you play the game with the defendant and your friend?
Yes. So the defendant had said that he had a bunch of connections in the community, that he had run a store called Nettridge Games, where he had made a bunch of connections throughout the community, and that he would have the ability to sell my cards for me to people, which would save me fees and other costs instead of using it online. And I also figured that would be a good way to help him out, make some money for him. We were kind of being friendly at the time, and I figured it was a good situation for both of us, and it would work out, to both of our advantages.
Okay, so what was the deal that the two of you arrived at?
We had made it a deal that he would sell my cards on consignment. I had gave him a list of cards. We had written out a value for the cards, and I had said anything over that value you could keep.
And the value that you set was $2,500, right?
Right, at that point in time.
So anything over $2,500 he could keep. Now, is there anything in writing between the two of you about which cards were handed over and all that?
We just have a list of the cards that were given. We didn't come up with an agreement.
When you say we, who's we? Who's we? Who has the list? Both of you?
Me and Josh, yeah. We should both, yeah. There was a list that
Okay, so how did both of you have the list? Did someone make a copy of the list? How did that work out?
We wrote it down and then I ended up typing it out and sending it to him.
Okay, so show me, let's see if you introduced that into evidence, the list that you're talking, what is this that I'm looking at right here?
That was an initial thing for him to prove to me that he would actually be able to sell the cards for me. He sold those cards. That was a card that I had given him as an initial test in May to prove that he could actually sell the cards that he had said.
And did he sell those two?
Yes. He sold that card.
And you got the money for those?
Yes.
Okay. Show me the piece of paper you're talking about that you had typewritten that had all of the cards on it that you and he both have a copy of. Show me that.
I don't have that physical piece of paper. I have the list that I submitted as evidence.
No, I know. I've seen that. I haven't seen what you're referring to, the typewritten part. Mr. Fielman, talk to me. What happened here? He gave you a bunch of cards, and what'd you do with them?
Oh, yes. He gave me a bunch of cards. We were introduced. We just so happened to have grown up in New York very, very close to one another by coincidence, and we were introduced by a mutual friend. The mutual friend and I, we all kind of agreed that this was a good idea. And like he said, I did, do some for him to show him what I am capable of doing with the contacts that I do have within the community. And
how did you develop these contacts?
I've been a gamer, and I've been playing this game since about 1998. And I just have a vast knowledge for it, wanted a passion project. So I opened up a game store down here in Tampa, Florida. And from there, you start meeting everyone from trade shows and other store owners throughout the industry. And you just network kind of grows just like any other business.
And let me ask you, like, the most expensive of the Magic cards is which one?
Yeah.
Which is the most rare and...
That has actually been seen on Pawn Stars and Antiques Roadshow. It's called the Black Lotus. It's a card that was printed very few times back in 1993 and 94. And up to date, the largest amount that it has sold for is just over $250,000.
Wow.
Yeah. This is the original trading card game. This set the precedent for Pokemon and all the games that came thereafter.
Well, some people might feel baseball cards are, but okay. Talk to me and tell me then, you guys enter into this agreement and anything over $2,500 you were going to keep. Is that accurate?
It is if you want to arrive at the sum with that equation. Really, the way it works when I say...
No, I don't want to do anything. I want to know what you guys agreed to. What did you guys agree to?
Good night, itchy eyes. Good night, sudden sneeze. Good night to your symptoms of allergies. Zysol is the allergy medicine you take before bed. It provides powerful relief while you rest your head. Not just all night, but all the next day. Zysol keeps working, keeping allergies at bay. And without those annoying symptoms disturbing your rest, you can wake up the next morning feeling your absolute best. Remember, be wise all, take Zysol. At night.
I take a 10% commission. That's what I get when I sell. So I don't take someone's collection, like he's saying, and then sell it for $2,500 or $3,200 and then keep $7,000. That might be the math at the end of everything, but I go card by card. So if I sell a card for $200, I'm going to send you $180. I'm going to keep $20. So it's an ongoing thing. It's not something that happens.
So here's my question to you. Mr. Fielman, did you ever have an agreement with him that you would sell this group for at least $2,500 and that you would take anything over it? Is that accurate or is it not accurate?
It is accurate, yes.
Okay, it's not how you usually work, but it's how you did this one.
No, I just think that's the way he phrased it. I would never enter an agreement that got me paid in the very end like that. I would want to get paid as my work was accomplished.
Okay, but I'm not understanding. If that's the way he phrased it, what is your understanding of the agreement? If he says, this is how I want to do it, and you don't want to do it that way, then you say, no, I'm not going to take your cards. This other way is how I do it. I'm trying to understand what the agreement was between you guys.
I would just think that maybe he misspoke the way we agreed on it. I mean, he can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that...
No, I want to know, listen, I don't care what he's saying now. You tell me what he said then and what you said then. What was the agreement?
We agreed to 10%, and that was an ongoing fee as I sold the cards.
So before all this happened, you never said, and he never said, anything over $2,500 belongs to you?
No.
All right, now, did the two of you agree to a value to the cards that were being transferred from Mr. Roddenberg to you, Mr. Fielman?
We agreed that they would be valued at fair market value, less 10%.
Yeah, but that's what you were going to make, and that's what he was going to make. That's not my question. My question is, if I hand somebody my car, it has a certain value, and if they lose my car, then we know what's at stake. When he hands you the cards, is there any consensus between the two of you of what these cards are worth at that moment when he's handing them to you?
Okay, let me elaborate on the answer that I gave you. The fair market value on these cards can change overnight. So to agree when he gives me the cards that this said card is worth $105, that wouldn't be fair to him or I, because something could happen within the game that makes that card worth $170 overnight. And that wouldn't be fair if I'm only paying him on a $105 valuation when the card was actually sold for a lot more than that. So it's a fair market value.
And interestingly enough, what Mr. Fielman is saying that, Mr. Roddenberg, I know he's right, because your argument is, well, I needed to make $2,500 and anything else was going to go to him. And yet you are valuing the cards at today's market value, and the value is $3,200, and that's what you've chosen to sue for, even though you're claiming that all you were supposed to make out of this was $2,500. You have a witness with you. That's the gentleman who introduced the two of you. Was he privy to any of the discussions between you guys?
Mm-hmm. He was aware that this
He was? Okay, let's hear him. Can you suit him up?
Can you please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you, sir. Your Honor.
Okay, what's your name, sir?
My name is David, Judge.
All right, Mr. David, can you tell me, you're the guy who started it all by introducing these two. Now look at you. Can you tell me what it is that the agreement was? Were you privy to the agreement between Mr. Rottenberg and Mr. Fielman?
Yes, Judge. I was there.
Okay, so did you hear any discussions between the two of them about what the deal was between the two of them, yes or no?
I saw the exchange of the goods, and not the specifics of the numbers, but the exchange of the goods.
Did you hear either of them say anything that would shed light on this case? Either of them say anything about what the deal was, yes or no?
That Joshua was going to sell the goods.
And what was Joshua going to get paid, and what was Mr. Rottenberg going to receive?
I was unaware of the specific dollar amount, just the exchange.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you, David. All right, Mr. Rottenberg, at some point in this continuum, you contact Mr. Fielman. How much time has passed since you gave him the cards at that point when you contact him and say what's going on?
At one point in time, I was going to Tampa. I live in Miami. I was going to Tampa and hanging out with David and Josh probably like every weekend. And then I started working and some things came up, so I stopped going as often. And then probably about 3-4 months down the line, I had contacted him to say what was happening, what was good, what's the update.
Had he ever contacted you to tell you that something had gone wrong?
No, not at that point in time. I had to contact him. And then he said, actually, I have some unfortunate news. I didn't really know how to tell you this. I didn't know how to break it to you, but the cards are gone.
All right. Do you have any of these magic cards with you right now?
I could grab one.
Do either of you have them handy? I'd love to see what they look like.
This is the game. This is the back of the card. This is what they all look like. And then this would be the front of a card.
And what's the copy on the bottom? What does that say?
Just search your library for a basic land card or a gate card. Reveal it, put it into your hand, and then shuffle your library.
Okay. All right. Now, according to you, Mr. Rottenberg, there's certain specific cards that you handed the defendant. Right. And according to you, they are 4 Jace, the Mind Sculptor Zendikar, 4 Force of Will Alliance, 4 Scalding Tarn Zendikar, 1 Mana Crypt Promo, Blightstel Colossus Maraudin Besieged, 2 Tundra Revised, 2 Underground Sea Revised, and 2 Tropical Island. Is that right?
Yes.
And does that sound right to you, Mr. Fielman?
Yes, it does, Your Honor.
Okay. What happened? What happened to the stuff? Because 4 months, you ghost, he calls you, and according to him, you tell him, oh, I didn't know how to tell you what happened. What happened?
Well, unfortunately, a couple things had happened. Then David, who you met earlier, was a little bit more aware than he let on to the circumstances of the case between us. As I said before, I used to own a store in Tampa. Now, I had since sold that store, and the new owners and I, let's just say, have our differences, for normal reasons, nothing too crazy, but I just don't really do business there. So one of my sales tactics was to sell these cards to that store and make some of the money that way. Now, the only way that would have been possible is if I had somebody do it for me, and that was David Russo. He actually took the book of cards, he went into the store, he sold it, he called me beforehand to ask me about the number, and then I said yes. Now, that money was supposed to be, given to Brian, when in reality, some of that money was I was told that David had spoken to Brian and that he was going to be borrowing it, which is why he lent himself a little help to the issue in the first place.
Wait, I have no idea what you're saying. Stop. In your answer to the complaint, you say you had a bag and you left the bag and you went out to smoke and you left the bag unattended and it got stolen. So I don't know why you are bathing David in all this shame. Talk to me about what happened to you and the bag with his cards. How and when did that happen?
So yes, a couple months after having having the cards, I was in a card store. We were playing games. We were, doing a tournament, and exactly that. I left my bag at the table where we were playing, and I walked out to smoke with a couple friends. And when I walked back inside, the bag wasn't there.
Well, that sounds pretty darn irresponsible.
Yeah, you know what? Sometimes when you have been on the side of the counter when you're a store owner, it's hard to think that their community has bad apples, and you try to give the best in everyone. You look at it that way, and I thought I was in a place, and that
but why are you? What is your defense? I don't understand what your defense is. You've just admitted to losing the guy's cards through your own negligence. Why would you not be responsible?
To be honest, I never thought I wasn't responsible. I agreed to the responsibility. My argument was...
so how much have you paid the guy back in all this time? Did you agree to pay him back? Because in your answer to the complaint, you say it's not my fault. I don't see how it's not your fault. Who else's fault is it? Stop smoking and don't leave bags unattended. Who else's fault could it be but yours? Come on. And now, ironically, you're telling me that the deal between you guys was you'd only get $2,500, but you're suing for $32 whatever, the value of the cards. Why are you doing that?
Because that's what the fair market value at this point in time is, and I feel like if I were to get the cards back, that's what they would be worth today. And since he didn't actually sell them, I'm more entitled to the card reimbursement than the money reimbursement. And having 25.
How long ago was this agreement? How long ago was this agreement between you guys? How long ago was this agreement between you guys?
This occurred in about June or July of 2019.
Let me ask you a question. When you go back after your smoke, which I hope was a good smoke, I hope it was worth it, you come back in and you see the bag missing. You immediately reported it to the police, right?
No, first thing we did was check the cameras at the store, because that's how you're going to find out who did it. But unfortunately, the guy who was supposed to be helping me with that wasn't there. So we didn't get a chance to do it right away.
Why didn't you call the police and report the theft?
Like I said, I've been playing this game for over 20 years. When you call a police officer and you tell them your magic cards got stolen, I don't want to say that the police are biased, but they do think they have bigger things on their hands to deal with, and it tends to never get dealt with at all. We get laughed at, to be honest.
Yeah, but so what? You explain to them these collector's items and they're worth X, and I can show you on the internet how they are. It's a $3,000 theft, Wow, okay. Now, Mr. Rottenberg, your reason for wanting more than what you were supposed to get is what? The delay in getting anything?
Correct. And the fact that...
And ironically, he feels that the deal was never even what you had originally limited to, which was $2,500. You know what? Under these circumstances, I'm going to say you're right. I've looked at the value of them. I come up with a little different figure than you do. I checked them today, and it's $3,284.95. Verdict for the plaintiff.
So how about that? The judge awards the plaintiff almost $3,300. Let's talk to the defendant, Mr. Fielman. Mr. Fielman, what are you thinking? The judge just said you owe him a lot of money.
I think that was definitely more than he should have been awarded. Like I said, I don't necessarily believe I was totally not at fault. However, I don't believe that she really understood how this consignment works, where he should have had about at least 30% taken off the top, because that's what happens on a secondhand market like this. And he knew that, so he, I guess, got lucky. He was a little overzealous and won.
He sure did get lucky. The judge is right. You ought to quit smoking. It would save you a lot of money, not only in cigarettes, but in judgments like this. What do you think?
I think you might be right. I think I may have learned my lesson here.
All right. Well, you're good sport about it. Mr. Rottenberg, it was your lucky day in court. What are you thinking?
Super satisfied with the judgment. I feel like the judge made the right decision, and I'm happy, with the result.
All right. Well, good luck to you. You got the right spirit. All right. That'll wrap it up for this case. Let's join Judge Milian and her husband, who is a real-life judge himself, Judge John, for another After the Verdict.
When someone gives someone goods to sell on consignment, like you had in this case, that's at common law, we call that a bailment. The bailor gives the thing, the bailee takes the thing, sells it, gets 10%, gives back everything less 10% to the bailor. But bailees in these situations have liability. They can't just turn their backs on the goods, right?
No, of course. I mean, it was, if he had them to give back, then I would just tell him, give him back and let him sell them. But he doesn't have them to give back.
Right.
So when he says, oh, they're worth a lot less, they're worth exactly what the value the plaintiff can prove they're worth. In other words, what the plaintiff gets is the amount he could have sold them for. I checked that independently. I didn't even go with what the plaintiff said. I'm kind of stunned, I have to tell you, but value
You're not
and
an
beauty.
aficionado.
Well, no, but value and beauty is always in the eye of the beholder. Absolutely. Somebody decided diamonds would be, since they're rare, would be very valuable. Everything is kind of just, it depends on what the market is.
Absolutely, and that's the challenge in a case like this to a great extent for a judge is, hey, how do I fix the market value or the loss here? Because these are things that have maybe an immediate market value today of X, and then tomorrow of something very different. If you collected Beanie Babies 10 or 15 years ago and said, hey, this is my retirement, I'm going to get rich, maybe
you better have sold them about 10 years ago.
Right, exactly. So, God willing, the stuff stays valuable, and the people who are involved in the magic game get paid off someday.
Right.
Who knows?
Right.
Frank, I love this question because, yes, we follow the law of the state where the litigants are from or where the dispute arose. And that's important because the laws in different states vary wildly. And you want to make sure you're doing justice the way it would have been done if the case were heard in a traditional small claims court.